Squatters, we're back as we continue with the engagement. I just shot 2 episodes about NOTA issue and the South African Human Rights Commission. And sometimes people feel like we are exaggerating certain things for our own personal benefit. But now I want to stretch it further. Why, as a black South African, I get so much irritated when actually the white people wants to claim to be victims and want to oppress black people, you know, from a legal point of view, and them being able to write emails and all of that to lodge complaints and about NOTA's remarks. I believe that Elon Musk has got an influence in some way, because if you look at the episode itself, no one complained. No one complained, everything was fine. And then until someone posted a short clip of that video, and then Elon Musk responded on that clip. He just said, and then that was it. And then NOTA also responded underneath on Twitter and said, scientifically correct, something like that. Okay, fine, we're cool. So we know that if Elon Musk responds to something, it's bothering him, it's giving him sleepless nights. Now, if we look at this issue closer now, and fairly so, we have got a history of racism in South Africa. We have a history of black people being oppressed by white people, by the way, and brutalized, killed, murdered. Some of them are even unaccounted for to this day. The apartheid government has done a horrible job, which we all as black people acknowledge. Even some white people, they do acknowledge, but majority of white people still feel the apartheid government was right, and what they did to black people was just fine with them, because remember, it was suiting them. It was not, in our favor as black people. We are the victims, by the way, of the apartheid government and all of that. That's why we get so much frustrated when the ANC government, they are not delivering on their mandate and keep lying to people and all of. By the way, we have lost hope in the ANC, and we hope that one day, as the youth of this country, we will take over the government and run it how we want it to run. That is guaranteed. It's going to happen the soonest. It's just a matter of time that they make one slight mistake. Then we will be in, and from there there will be history. We wouldn't really listen to them, entertain them, or say anything. I've just seen on the YouTube channel one of the clips which the commander of the defense force was telling them some crap, telling them what they deserve to hear, that it is because of politicians that the South African National Defence Force finds itself in that position. And yes, he acknowledged and accepted that we don't have military, we're just having a Mickey Mouse kind of gathering with people who are wearing camouflage and all of that. I'm not paraphrasing exactly what he said, but that's literally what he meant. And by the way, they said, no, he caught himself in hot water. That's true, by the way. When you speak the truth, people start feeling uncomfortable just being around you, and they start looking at you like someone who's an antagonist, who like chaos and all of that. Fine, we fine. Some of us, we can't just live lies, we need to be as authentic as we can be. Even on this channel, I try all the time to be as authentic as I can. If I'm angry, you will see me that I'm angry. I'm going to talk a lot of crap. When I'm super cool, I'm super cool. If something is wrong, it's wrong. If something is right, it's right. It's my own view that I actually express fully. And I'm not saying everything that I say is true or it's untrue. It's for the squatter community to put their views. And by the way, we argue even on the platform fairly so. So now I want to come to this issue. I went through the clip of Helen Zille, the federal chairperson of the Democratic Alliance, saying the MKP and the EFF are dogs. She cannot let the government to be handed over in KZN to the dogs, you know. So she literally meant MKP combined with the EFF, you know, belongs to the dogs, so they cannot hand over the government to the dogs in KZN, right? And then after that clip, no one complained, no one came forward. Even all the clever white people who are so quick to jump onto NOTA's issue, I want to challenge them that how do they feel about what Helen Zille said? That's number one. Number two, the South African human rights, by me saying they are the most useless department that I've ever came to see in my whole life, because what Helen Zille said literally, that was a hate speech. So if we go on and compete with the hate speech, we're not going to get any solution, by the way, because the ANC has let white people to be so comfortable to an extent that now they want to turn into now wanting to claim to be victims. Even on the issue of the land, they jump up high and say they are victims, but the victims is us black South Africans who are dispossessed of our own land. And now we are becoming second-class citizens. We don't own anything. We continue to be poor, to be exploited, and all of that. Then it must be business as usual. When everything is happening to us as black people, we are the ones who are on the receiving end, who are feeling the pain of being landless, of growing up in squatter camps and not having access to proper education and all of that. No, it's business as usual. We shouldn't complain, because our comrades sold us during the CODESA negotiations and signed those road deals and all of that. And we have allowed that to happen for the longest time. Let's say now we don't blame them for signing whatever the nonsense they signed there. But now they even continued to perpetuate the same racism. They themselves, when racism happens, now they look at the other side. So what Helen Zille said constituted to hate speech, purely hate speech. You can't call people dogs, right? Whatever that she was trying to say, dogs was the last thing that she could say. But no one said anything. Even the South African Human Rights Commission was quiet about that. Now you ask yourself, it's really traumatizing to stay in South Africa as a black person. It's really so sad to be black in South Africa, but we know for the fact that even countries like America, there's still racism. You look at the George Floyd issue, the Black Lives Matter organizations and all of that. Black people, Africans, still continue to be racially excluded and be labeled as subhuman and all of that. So it's a concern, especially in South Africa. We wonder what exactly is going on here. That's why I'm saying this is war, and we're going to fight it. By the way, we're going to fight it. We're going to use all the resources. If it means for us to go to the street or physically going to the court or to protest, we are willing to do that. Because impilo kati akiveli hamba ne struggle. A black person's life always has been about the struggle, pushing the struggle. We don't mind doing that. We can do it as many times as we can. But at the same time, I don't want to participate in tippy-toeing on issues. No, we need a regime change. The whole thing must just change. We need a forced integration, not what the ANC has been doing. White people must be subjected to stay with black people. Can I repeat this? White people must be subjected to stay with black people. It must be a law which is forcing them. The government can build subsidy houses, nice houses, to attract these people into our community and say, the white people who needs RDP houses, they can come and stay here. In townships, they will come because some of them, they are living through poverty. They are just poor, but they are just insisting on renting on expensive apartments and all of that. So they don't like it, but they can't carry on anymore because the cost of living is too high. So the government, if we had people who are smart in the government, you just implement a forced integration in a sense that you build subsidy 3-bedroom houses in the township and invite black and white people to stay there. I'm telling you, we are going to have some of them to stay there. That's a forced integration because these people, as much as and for as long as we have Orania and other places which are white areas that we know that, these places, let's not talk about money and all of. There are white people who would love to stay with black people if only the environment is just conducive for them and they feel safe, that they will not be victimized. Because remember, we are still angry. We're coming from racism, and 30 years is nothing, by the way. 30 years is nothing compared to 300 years of apartheid and the oppression that we went through as black people. So we ask ourselves now that this is NOTA who expressed how he feels about white people versus Helen Zille, who said they cannot hand over the government to EFF and MKP in KZN. They cannot hand it to the dogs. So let's look at the consistent now. Which one is more extreme than the other? You see, that's why I'm saying I don't want to find myself attending case by it because it's tiring. We've been protesting our whole lives. Some of us, we've been protesting for the rest of our lives, by the way. I grew up when there were protests and everything, and until now there are also issues that we are still pushing, but we are not actually winning. So we need a regime change. We need a revolutionary change. Everything must just change because we are tired as black people. We can't protest anymore. We can't, beg the ANC to do the right thing and all of that. They must just go out. That's what I think now, that, as opposed to us, tiptoeing around issues and begging Donald Trump to bring back the aid and all of that, these leaders, they must just move out because they are too old, they can't function. That is why I don't actually buy into MKP's ideology that Jacob Zuma will fix this and all. That man was a president for almost a decade. He couldn't lift his finger. He would go to parliament and laugh, and he will give the Guptas all the powers to appoint ministers somewhere from Saxonwell, from their residence, from their home where they sleep. They call ministers. They used to summon ministers to their house to tell them crap and to also threaten them that if you don't do so. What kind of leadership was that? And they still continue to say, no, Zuma was the greatest leader. No, he was not. He was not. If you talk about Thabo Mbeki, introduced certain things which made black people poor, and we still cry until today that his sick nature, cost us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a lot of people died, by the way, through HIV and AIDS because he was still in denial and all of that. And you look at Mandela. Mandela took only 1 term. You look at Cyril Ramaphosa. He's just there to sign a contract to push his business interest. The greed, the greed is holding these people not to do anything. They are capitalists. They are chasing profit and they don't care about the voters. So we need someone who will promote social welfare, for everybody to have a peaceful life, to be employed, to be innovative, because for now it's like South Africa is on autopilot. There's no pilot, we don't have a pilot, to take us to the promised land, and it's a fact, by the way. And if we say let's vote for white people because white people have learned how to exploit black people, from the same ANC. This EPWP nonsense and all of that they are, no, we are doing you a favor. You don't deserve this, by the way. So it's a contract which is owned by someone and is receiving millions and millions, and tenders are actually going to scrap our country. So that is why the EFF says we need to capacitate the government so that we don't outsource everything. Look at what is happening now. The Defense Force now, they don't have planes to take those injured soldiers back to our country. They are going to use Botswana chartered planes so that they can transport those soldiers. So it shows that we are under-resourced because of corruption, because of people who don't care. But the main issue here that I want to emphasize, let's look at what Helen Zille said and what NOTA said. And tell me, because this one is white, there has never been a complaint. There's never been a query. There's never been a human rights, pushing for people to come forward. And, it's a campaign, what they are doing. And it's very dangerous because they themselves, as the human rights, they are dividing people. Because if you say, you announce publicly that anyone who has got an issue with what NOTA said, then they must come forward. It means you are campaigning. But on Helen Zille, they were too quiet. They never said anything. We don't know what is happening until to this day. No one said anything. Let's focus on these double standard squatters and see exactly what is happening. I'm so much concerned about what is happening now in our country. Being black, being a South African, is it a sin? If it's a sin, where do we actually belong to? Because we don't have land. We are landless. We continue to be exploited. We are poor. We remain unemployed. Then what is the solution to this? For how long should black people suffer? I think the ANC should be able to answer that question. Thank you, squatters. Sure.